Two in a row, David Teague. It's 2 in a row. How are we all doing? Welcome to Pommyinoz. As you can see, the excitement factor never stops at this channel. We are nearly at 200. We've won 2 in a row. If you are new around here, please like and sub. We're so close to 200. That was the aim, to do it at the end of June. It was a big goal. We're 7 short. It would really mean the world to me if we can do that before Bounce tomorrow. And we're going to talk about a few things today. We're going to have a look at the Carlton versus St Kilda matchup, and then we're just going to go and smash out some tips. So let's get straight into it. Carlton versus St Kilda at Marvel. Thanks to the Victorians and the fact Queensland has contaminated us and deemed us the zombie apocalypse of Australia, we had to move to old Marvel, where Carlton have only won 3 of the last 17 games. It is a tough place for Carlton, and we know that St Kilda genuinely play the Marvel well. It does suit their style. Teams at Marvel, you've got to be quick. You've got to be very kick focused. You've got to move it through the corridor. Lots of handball chains, early entries inside 50. Good goal kicking efficiency as well is king. And it's interesting to state that St Kilda this year are top 3 for goal kicking accuracy and hitting up targets inside 50. That is where Carlton are going to have to be wary. That is what St Kilda did tremendously well against Richmond, and something we probably didn't do so well against Essendon. We had a lot of chances, but we didn't quite capitalise them. When you are at Marvel, for some reason, even though the roof is closed and it's meant to be perfect kicking conditions, there is that, if you ever go to Marvel, there's kind of like a fictitious wind. It just like appears, it's like a hyperbole of just disappointment. And if you don't kick well, genuinely teams can score in clusters there, and it works for all the 18 sides when they play at Marvel. It's a weird, like, mythical place that doesn't quite make any sense and rhyme and reason. And that is something that Carlton are going to have to do. They're going to have to look to really capitalise on chances. Because one thing St Kilda have really done under Ratton is it's this freedom, this expression to play football. And you see how it's dictated to by players like Loney down back and Hunter Clark. It starts there. The willingness to attack the ball in the air, get it going by foot. Look for handball chains, utilise the corridor, and it's interesting, their midfield looks to hit up targets, Membry and King particular, inside 50 when they're one out or one-on-one, and bring the ball to ground. And then it is that kind of like charge of the light brigade, where you've got Kent coming in, you've got Gresham coming in, you've got Butler coming in, and once the ball hits the deck, they are super damaging. And it's going to be something that the backline at Carlton has been quite successful at and has to continue. And it's something that I feel that Carlton have got a bit of a strength in, because Wheaterin's very good at the old intercept marking. So is Plowman, so is Jones. But also, more importantly, when the ball hits the deck, Doc and SBS are just absolute geniuses. And it was displayed last week as well. They were phenomenal at doing that. When the ball hit the deck, they attacked it hard and they looked to get it going. This could be really a seesaw of affairs when you look at how both backlines operate and how the ball is moved. Now, St Kilda were disappointing when they played Collingwood. Now, there is a key to that. If you watch how Collingwood play, they are willing to slow the game down, and they probably are one of the most slower ball movement sides in the competition. They look to bring it to their level, and that is something that shows maturity from Collingwood. Now, I know on the Blue Abroad live show I got all excited and said that we're better than Collingwood in midfield because Taylor Adams has got 2 first names and Scott Pendlebury is a pensioner. But there is a little element of truth to my madness, and I'll tell you for why. If Carlton can do that and do what Collingwood did and look to be willing to slow it down, because that is what St Kilda do. They're a very momentum-based team. When they get on top, they kick clusters. And if you look at the Richmond game, they did that very proficiently. They kicked in clusters. Once they got on top, they kept on going. And that is what the willingness from Doc, Murphy, and you're looking at them type of players to take the ball and kind of slow it down, bring it on your terms. St Kilda don't seem to like the game being played on someone else's terms. They've kind of bullied opposition. And in Ratton's words about being bullied by Collingwood, the roles were reversed. And it's going to be very important there with some key battles around the ground, with SPS maybe taking Kent. How Cade Simpson's going to react? Is Cade Simpson going to play like... We really need that role that's important, is Noons going down the back and allowing Doc to free up. And can Noons step up in this one? He knows how this system operates. He's had a good handful of games with Ratton. He knows the boys there. He knows their strengths. It's going to be a very key thing there that if we can free Doc up, we can free Wheatering up. Could be game on there for Carlton, because there is an opportunity the way that they look to enter 50 of hitting them on the counter, but it's a risk reward. Now if we look at the midfield, their midfield is just like an engine room really. You look, Steele's very unheralded there, and he does a great job at getting the ball out to the talented Hill and the talented Billings and make things happen. They really do turn the chains. They work really well as a complement. Now for me, I think Ed Kerner's going to have to go on Billings and do a run with roll, because Billings' influence can't be understated. But it's going to be important that we need people to step up and help Cripps. We know Steele is an absolute problem in that midfield. An absolute problem. He has got the chocolates on Cripper before. He's familiar to play with Cripper. It usually is a good battle. And it's really important that, you know, your Setterfields really get involved. Your Gibbons, all these people really help pinch it and kind of divert the attention off Cripps. Really free Cripps up. Allow Cripps to impact the contest. It's going to be about going hard from the first quarter. And if the midfield can do that and get on top of St Kilda, you do stifle that centre corridor. Now, one thing that is pleasing for Carlton is our forward line seems to be operating really well, particularly at locking it inside 50. If anyone watched the game against Essendon, there was that compliment on us that we are one of the more proficient sides at converting inside 50s once the ball is in there, locking it in and getting the score. And it's going to be really prevalent this week as well against St Kilda. When you look at your Hunter Clarks, you look at your Loneys down there, these guys are really turning into some football, some real good footballers. And for me, Loney is just a couple of disposal efficiency, good games away from really announcing himself as a premier rebounding defender. He is really, really proficient at what he does. He looks to attack, he looks to break lines, he looks to utilise the corridor, and he really looks to break the mould like what all of Ratton's done. When everyone else is focusing on not letting teams score, they're looking to attack from the moment the ball is transitioned from the defensive half. And it is really dangerous. And that is something that, you know, your Cunners, your Gibbons, they're going to have to be wary of, your Martins. They can't allow these guys to exit defensive 50 willy-nilly. If they do, they're going to hurt you. They really are looking for that, go down the wing, hit the corridor again, go out to the wing, and that's how they do it. If you watch how they do it, they break down half-back, they come into the corridor, they go back to the wing for their entry inside 50. And once it hits the deck, that's where we know Butler is. These guys are one of the top three sides for goal-kicking accuracy and hitting targets inside 50, as we said. And it's going to be very important that the midfield quartet really keeps its structure, something we've done very well. Now for me, let's go for some Pom Bowl predictions. I'm going to go here that Carlton win this game by 25. And I'm going to say that I think that Mitch McGovern's going to have 5 goals. I've got a feeling. Don't know why. Just think the matchup with the backline. They are quite a tall backline, but you would say their backline isn't the most proficient at hitting targets. They haven't really played a side like Carlton at stopping hitting targets. I think with McKay coming back, creates a problem because Dougal Howard ain't that good. I know, don't mean to be nasty, St Kilda, but I think that could be a problem matchup for them. I think Gibbons and Martin and Betts, we've got 3 blokes there that really match up to their Ken, their Loney, their players like that. It's going to be really, really a real interesting thing. So that is my predictions. Now, as for the other game, let's go. So we've got Carlton to win by 25, I feel. I think Collingwood will win by 16 against Essendon. I think West Coast will finally turn the corner. I think you'll get a 15-point win to West Coast. I think Geelong are finally going to be found out. I've gone to tip Gold Coast here. I think Gold Coast will surprise the world. I think, wow, them fighting words from Scott might bite in the arse. I'll pick them by 6. I think the Doggies will continue this kind of like mini resurgence. I think they will beat North Melbourne by about 20. I think Brisbane will get the chocolates versus Port in a tight game. I think that'll be 3 points Brisbane. I think the Crows are going to have more suffering. I reckon that Fremantle will win by 30. I think Richmond will finally find out how to play football. They'll beat Melbourne by 12. And I think Hawthorn will continue doing Hawthorn type things and put away GWS by 21. They're my tips for this week. Please let me know how you go. If I don't see you through the week, see you through the window. As always, it's a pleasure talking to you. Pom out.